chasing that.
Well, I was already in school.
Trying to catch it.
That was Jeannie Sue.
Third grade.
I
I know, I started
Jeannie
school
Sue.
in that place that they thought.
Jeannie was trying to pet it.
Yeah, trying to catch it on Freddy.
Yeah. But I was the one that saw it and went and told you, I think. I remember you killing it. You picking up a brick or a half a brick or something like that. You killed it with a rock.
I don't remember living there.
No, Skunk.
We just rode around out there. There was not much of fun.
Yeah, because she took
Oh, she's so far to the road.
I remember being
She's trying to catch it. It's still around the way.
She thought it was a cat or something.
Didn't spray her?
No. It's lucky.
I remember Jeannie bending down like that. She was almost petting it. And then Daddy come out and killed it.
Was you walking around the backyard? Wasn't it Jeannie? Tell about Shirley Joe cooking the green cornbread.
Well, the things like that.
Don't frown when you tell it.
You'd have to see it. No, what it was. I suppose these were the thing they'd cook, while I was in school, while I liked it much. And she cooked some cornbread and put cake cover in it. Green. I couldn't go it. Can you think of eating green cornbread?
I've never seen green cornbread.
Well, I got a piece.
Daddy?
Where's your hand?
Right over there.
Daddy, I want you to tell
There is where we got that green cornbread. We got some of it.
It's in, I think, in your room.
Have you told the story?
Yeah.
Did you tell about
Y'all got y'all's house wired.
yeah, Boxer eating the biscuits?
So what?
Boxer eating the biscuits that Dixie had left.
And I remember one of the big things
Shirley Joe.
about
No, it was Dixie.
Made the green biscuits?
No, that's when I entered the biscuits in the fair that time, and I just picked out the best biscuits and left them in the car a minute.
What happened to him?
Boxer swallowed it.
He did.
What happened? Oh, Boxer?
Yeah, she was taking home economics and cooking it, what it take to the fire, wasn't it? And boy, that's all beautiful, but she picked out the prettiest one. Took it out there, she forgot something. She put that down, come back to the house, and got back out there, old Boxer swallowed it.
She cooked 5 or 6 pans of biscuits and picked the best ones out of each pan to make the perfect pan.
That's the way she does when she bakes her pies. I remember she goes to first.
Oh, and puts them in there. Dad, do you remember the year Harry Jr. got the teddy bear for Christmas?
I do for sure.
And what?
Woo, woo.
And that was what the teddy bear became known as, Old Woo Woo.
I remember that. This is well as yesterday. That we uncovered that where he could see the hands with woo, woo. That's what we named the teddy bear.
Well, we had Woo Woo around here for a long time. I think maybe we gave it to Barbara one time. It was badly in need of repair, though. It needed a new eye, I think, and a new ear, and I don't know what all. Do you remember when we left down there, when Shirley ate the glass?
Yeah, sure do.
I was mad at her. It didn't bother me that much because there was blood coming out of her mouth because she brought my pretty bottle.
I thought it'd kill her. I'd always heard to eat grass. Honey, I had that T-model, A-model that wouldn't go too fast. I wanted the doctors so they could do anything to save her. I just knew she was going to die. She was trying to laugh all the time, blood coming out of her mouth. I got up there, I believe it was telling the garage I had a later model car that would go about 80. He took me on to Dr. Levis. Dr. Levis come in on me first, drew me down, said he's not going to die. And he fixed out a what he wanted us to do for it. He told me to go to the grocery store and get some milk, cotton, and something else, and I did. And he wanted us to take oats, cook up oats, and take a little wads of cotton.
Put in the oatmeal.
Put it in oats.
Feed it to Shirley.
I just feed it all she did that. She did, so she passed it.
And the glass would stick onto the little pieces of cotton.
Now that cotton getting in there, that glass goes spinning around on it, you know, and it stick onto it.
I think you told too about when the mouse was in the car.
Oh, I remember that.
That's not funny.
I remember that.
You can't imagine how dangerous the roads were. When I was in the woods, I didn't know what, I couldn't go any further, you know, just.
It had rained a lot.
I stopped there, we'd headed for level and off on the dirt road, it was just terrible. And just sloshing and sloshing up and down, and a darn mouse come out. in the car there. me trying to drive, couldn't stop, and them kids just squealing, jumping around.
That mouse was so scared.
Like pandemonium road.
I remember driving over that lake and how scared we were to go to town and drive over that lake.
Oh, yeah.
A traumatic experience.
Daddy, there's one more story I want you to tell, Daddy, and then I'll be quiet. You remember, tell the story about Shirley breaking the window pane with that gun. You remember her?
Well, it's unreasonable. I don't know how it got broke out to begin with, but I went to town, got a new window glass, put up there, and I put it over on the bed, getting ready to put the quilt in there. Well, she flopped down on that and broke it. How many times did you break that before I finally got her glass in?
I thought it was Shirley that did it.
Shirley.
Shirley Joe, yeah. It's 3 or 4 times. I'd go back to town and get another. Break them fast as I can get them out.
I think I remember you being very patient with it.
Huh?
I think I remember you being very patient with Shirley.
Oh, yeah. Had to be.
Do you remember moving the little house on the farm down there?
I do.
I thought that's how everybody moved. You picked up your house and put it on a tractor and you moved. But, it was kind of neat.
Daddy, do you remember, I'm going to turn this on, when Harry Jr. took a bath in the syrup?
I sure do.
Tell that. Patricia would get a kick out of that.
It's sticky.
He was a sweet little mess, wasn't he?
This old my sweet mess, he was it. We brought that ribbon cane syrup, you know, it started spinning like anyhow. Open it up so I could open it.
A Coke or something?
Yeah. I had a gallon bucket of it. Well, we had a number 2 tub in there.
So we took a bath in it.
That's what the kids took the bath in. And I thought he'd been in the kitchen there all too long, messing around. I hear him once in a while. Went in there and he managed to get that syrup figured up and poured it out in that tub. Then he got in that syrup and was taking a bath when I got in there. Well, you talk about a sweet mess.
What did you and Mother do?
Honey, I don't remember. I was so shocked. That's the very moment.
I bet it got funny after a while, but I bet Mother could have cried right at first. That took lots of scrubbing and lots of water.
Absolutely, you bet.
Anyhow,
he never did.
He didn't do that again.
He never did take another syrup back.
What do you remember about when we first got television? What did you think about TV?
Well, I couldn't believe it.
You couldn't believe it.
No.
Daddy, you saw a lot of history in your life. You saw the car invented and the airplane invented and television invented. One more funny thing I remember. You remember how you and Uncle Judd, too, would always turn we girls over your knee and spank us on the rear end and say, I've got to loosen it up a little so it'll grow?
Yeah.
You know, after I got married, I told Walter that one day, and you know what he said?
Don't respect you too much?
He said, it looks to me like they might have overdone it just a little. That was tacky of him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he may be right, Daddy.
He's right more than he is wrong, isn't he?
He may be right.
I was watching you. And you're crying, just kept crying. You know, when you look, and I had about that much high and all.
You really pinned that diaper on good, huh? Wasn't any danger of it sliding off, huh?
They all better that way. My Lord will know it.
That's how Brady needs his diaper pinned on. His kept sliding down last week. He doesn't.
He needs some suspenders over his diaper.
Brady doesn't have enough hips to hold his diaper up.
Well, Daddy, I don't know if this is a story or not, but when we were little, you used to always tell us you could make a paper ride off of the you get by and say, rise, paper rise. Remember that? And you'd show us how you could make a paper ride?
You and Uncle Judd said
How did that
It'll do it. That's done through vibration. It'll actually happen. Just put your hands on her and just hold her and just keep talking to it, and I reckon you get stable.
I think your knees might have had something to do with it.
Huh?
I think your knees might have something to do with it.
No, it's through vibration.
You really made it do that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all never really showed us.
Well, I don't know why. We never did. You didn't get the table up in the air. You get one side up or one leg up. Then what it was entertaining about it, you'd ask it a question and get the table knocked for each time. Just say you knew somebody's age was 21 or 16. And somebody we didn't know, so I know, but don't any rest of you know. And I asked it guess how old a certain person is. Not for each year, it'll just go to nothing. Well, whenever the right number come off, you automatically stop the table, but you're not conscious of it. It sounds like it makes you think the table. It got where some of the neighbors got scared and our mother made us quit doing that.
Is that kind of like a Ouija board?
Sounds like a Ouija board.
Yeah, that sounds like a Ouija board, I guess.
October the 31st, 1980. Oh, about playing dress up, Shirley and I, and come to see you. Do you remember how we girls used to pretend that we'd gone to sleep?
Oh, yeah, I'd carry and put you in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honey, I'd never forget that.
We thought you
Only be so limber.
You couldn't catch on to that either, Daddy. And then after you got us all tucked in bed in the dark bedroom, we'd all burst out giggling. I think we did that till you couldn't carry us anymore.
I'm standing in my mind.
Oh, dear. And a story that I think is hilarious is about the little Dorothy Nell Watson that bought the roll of toilet paper. You want to tell that? When she...
Well, I have to sort of know the circumstances, For it wasn't unusual for a little kid like that to come in and get something they'd send after, and well, I suppose make a ticket of it. You see how I was.
She grabbed it. paper and started out, didn't
She got what she had and started running out with it. Toilet paper. And Earl said, "Who's that for?" She grins at all of us.
It's for all of us. I think that's pretty good.
Daddy, what did you used to say when you came to the kitchen table and breakfast wasn't ready?
Some of you kids would come tell me, breakfast is ready. Mother, get breakfast ready. I get up, I said, I'll get in there. She hadn't got that breakfast ready. I'll turn that table over.
Y'all remember that? Yes, I didn't know about that.
They were disappointed. I never did turn the table over.
I was always half hoping that, it wouldn't be ready just to see what would happen. It was always ready when it was ready.
I was kind of halfway would like to sing and do it, but, I just kind of, I didn't, I was scared too.
I remember getting after me because I wouldn't get up one morning, and so he came in there the last time Mother sent him in there, and he kicked at my feet and hit the bed and broke the bed.
Do you remember, Daddy, when we lived down by the railroad, when the Tramps used to come down the road?
Oh, yeah.
Down the, and y'all used to tell us to go hide?
Oh, yeah.
When you put your window up. Mother always fed them, though, didn't she?
Yeah. Find them out some age to get them come in the house.
Were they just really hungry, or were they just really kind of...
I guess some of them was hungry. That's the only thing some of them get to eat is what they can burn. You couldn't tell for sure. They might have had something to eat and raised some out of the house.
Daddy, tell about all the sugar butter biscuits.
I didn't know about sugar butter.
Well, you can't imagine what a sugar butter biscuit meant, but it's something real good to eat.
I haven't tasted anything that good.
Had good country butter, and my wife could cook biscuits they were laughing. Well, pried it open, you see, and butter it, put butter in there, and then put sugar in there, and put the top back down on it, and let it melt. And it was something really good to eat. It would still be good to eat. Well, after girls got finding out they're getting too fat, they couldn't eat them. They'd stand there and watch the fix form for Junior. Sure to punish him.
But, somehow or other, we wouldn't butter or sugar our own biscuits. Daddy did it for everybody. And we'd want him to butter them and then mash them flat, didn't we, Dad?
Do you know that while somebody said the blessing, I bowed my head, but I was sleeping because there was always one biscuit I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the way it was browned or shaped or
bigger.
But as soon as they said amen, I said, I want that.
Do you remember when I cut the hole in Mother's dress? When Mother put me in the closet for punishment and I got mad? Daddy, I was so mad at her, I can remember sitting there in the corner of the closet, and I crammed my hands in my pockets, as mad as I could be, and what did I feel but my little scissors? And how did I decide I could get even with her? I just cut her dress up, and I didn't know that there was a depression on, and she only had one maternity dress. And I couldn't understand why she cried so much. Oh, Daddy, I don't know what y'all did with me. Looks to me like you would have given up. But sure, I'm glad you didn't.
I love you, little child.
Now, I remember I loved you a lot. I jot down from time to time the things that I remember that I would like for Daddy to talk about. So when I'm with Daddy, I take this little card or piece of paper or whatever, and use it to jar my memory to ask Daddy questions. Nita, this is a strange coincidence because I too read the same story, I guess, that you did about Mr. Hershey, and it immediately brought to my mind the happy, happy memories of candy when we were children. And so, several days ago, I asked Daddy about candy, and we had a conversation about that. I think it's wonderful that children can have as much as they do today, but they will never, never, never know the pleasure that we did of getting a candy bar. And I know that I think it was probably Mother and Daddy's 25th anniversary that Shirley and I each wrote a long, long, long letter to Mother and Daddy, kind of telling them the things that we remembered when we were children. And one thing that I remember Shirley writing was something about, one of her memories was as we children would line up against the wall and shut our eyes tightly, hold our hands out for our surprise, and sometimes it would be Hershey candy. And I also remember her writing about when I guess you girls were hoeing in the field and you each had a candy bar. Dixie and Shirley ate their candy, and Nita either saved all of hers or saved part of it. And I'm sure that Dixie and Shirley couldn't stand it for Nita to still have some candy left. And so Shirley relates the story that she and Dixie would not let Nita have any water to drink until she ate all of her candy. And I'm sure Nita finally gave in because you can get pretty thirsty when you're in the field in the summertime. Well, I think you had one daughter that called you a spoiled brat one time. Is that right?
What?
A spoiled brat.
That was my baby.
And you let your baby get away with that?
If she ever come run assassin me, the mother was ill. She cooked my biscuits all the time for breakfast. And Nita, Jeannie Sue, she was up about 13 years old. She started taking her clothes. And honey, I didn't say nothing. She fixed me one of the nicest breakfasts possible except biscuits. I sat down thinking I was going to get some biscuits. And there was some toast. Just brown, golden brown. And I looked at that. Just where I looked at it, she just sat up, raised up, and pulled that little chest out. Said, "Daddy, you are just a smart back." And walked out of the kitchen.
Oh, Daddy, did you tell about the time we got electricity in our house? The time we got electricity in our house at the farm? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What got in the house?
Electricity.
Oh, when electricity.
You know, you turned out all the lights, and we'd come home from school all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Tell about that.
Well, not everybody got electricity before we did. You know, they'd come out in the country and they'd run a line here and run a line there. Well, that's off from the road. That is rural electrification. And we finally got electricity out there, got it lit up. And it was a good while after it already had the line poles up before they turned it on. Well, they turned it on there one day and I had the house wired up. About all we had was 3 light bulbs.
That was long enough?
4 maybe. And turned them on, had a switchboard, you know, that turned them all on, and you could turn them off and put them on. Well, Harry Jr. was, he wasn't, I guess maybe like that Johnny hadn't started school yet. He knew we had a line. He met the kids coming home from school. And then for days they'd been looking, maybe we'd have electricity.
Don't flip on the switch.
So I turned all the lights on, went back to the back room where the switch was and turned them off like that. Just had them off the switch. Well, Junior met them and told them we had sunshine in the house. Well, they thought they knew what that meant. They run in there, you know, and they turned the lights on. They wouldn't burn. Well, they forgot it then. So I got it ready. Then we eat supper. The stars sat down to eat. We'd asked the blessing. And had kerosene lamps burning. Well, I eased out of there, you know, and had all those lights ready. When I turned that switch, it just lit the whole house up. Boy, you talk about excitement.
Squealing and jumping up and down.
I remember when Mother and Shirley and I were going to go to East Texas with Grandmother and Granddaddy, and I wasn't going to go. I wasn't going to go off and leave. But I think they practically forced me to go. And I got to ride in the Turtle all the way to East Texas. And I thought that was a real special thing to get to ride in the Turtle. It scared me to death when we'd drive across the bridges and I could look down and it seemed like they were so high.
Daddy, tell about when we got the pea green car. You know when we got the new pea green Chevrolet?
Well, that heard me talking about getting a new car. You know, we'd be a hoe in there, getting shot and something. I'd get them to see that new icebox down there, you know. Well, it'd come to a new car. Well, I finally got one day, and it was hard to get in. You couldn't get one just any time. No boy got me one, a new one. I brought it out, it wasn't in the folks' home. And just parked it in front of the house, and I got a lot of milking. Now, Dixie, they come in, and your mother and all.
Yeah, I remember driving that.
They saw that a new car there, but they didn't know where ours got. Boy, they come storming out there where I was milking. Gladys, she's glottering in. We want to know who that car belongs to. I told them it was ours. Well, you never heard such squeaking.
I remember that.
Did
You do remember?
Nita get on the bed and jump up?
Yeah, I jumped up. I kept jumping up and down. I'd hit the ceiling, I think, and go back down. And I'd just jump up
Before our daughter gets there.
with sheer elation, you know.
That's what she done when you got this car in.
It didn't take a lot. It didn't take a lot to make us happy. I thought, didn't Uncle Cecil and that guy have a car kind of like that? And when we drove up, we thought it belonged to them, and then we went in and they weren't there.
They had one about
Yeah, that's my thought is that they had come to see it. And then,
49 Chevrolet fleet line.
I mean, we
Two doors, sit down.
step up the social.
Daddy, where did you buy that car? In Slayton or Lubbock?
Huh?
Where did you buy the car?
I forget what the year it was now.
No, it was the 49. I remember that. But did you buy it in Slayton or did you buy it in...
This old boy, he lived in Wilson, Leon
Tamplin.
Triplin.
Tamplin.
Yeah.
In Slayton?
Wilson?
No, he lived in Wilson, but he had a lineup. He could get new cars once in a while. He got it for me.
You got a curtain number, didn't you?
Do you remember how much it cost, Daddy?
You bought it from Tamplin.
No.
Yeah.
You don't remember how much it cost?
Just a picture of you.
It was a 49 Chevrolet, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't get cars down here. I don't know why, but he went, I don't know how many times, took a bunch of guys with him that went to New York.
Really?
Told us back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that where that car came from? New York?
I don't know what that did. That's one I got to get.
I remember that. Yours was what, a 51?
50 miles.
A 50?
That's a pretty car.
It had a little hood-like thing on it, didn't it?
Yeah, a little sunrise.
Little sunrise. That's one we went to Rio Dosa in.
It had 4 flats.
All right, talking about being hard-headed, I want you to tell on the tape what your full, total, complete name is.
Harry Herbert Hoover Hank the Hard Hand Horny Randy Handy Hewitt.
Hardhead doesn't come in there somewhere?
Yeah, hard-headed.
I used to think it was funny when you told all of that. Do you remember how Shirley and I used to play dress-up ladies and come visit? We'd knock on the door.
I'll never forget that. You'd make perfect visitors. You'd just come in, you know, and speak to me and sit down and talk with me. We'd have a pretty nice talk. After you said, well, you just better go.
Daddy, I think you're a lot smarter now than I thought you were then. I used to think, you know, you ought to be able to catch on.
You get up and tell me goodbye.
Daddy, tell us about how you used to bring us home candy when you go to the grocery store. What an exciting thing that was.
I don't know how to begin.
Well, how often did we get candy when we were little?
Well, most of the time I think I got candy, didn't I?
I imagine.
There were a few times I didn't have the money. I couldn't. But later on there, but I'd bring a little candy home. Maybe once a week when you bought groceries? Yeah. Maybe once a week. Honey, you can't imagine a bunch of little old kids. How eager they're looking forward. Daddy, the joy you get out seeing them reach in there after candy. You know, I've often thought about Granddaddy. He's having a pretty good sized sack. Make you reach down in there. Wouldn't let you see in there. Make you reach down there and pick out something. But, you know, the little old kids, such a joy. Oh, Daddy, we knew when you had gone to the grocery store. And I mean, we'd practically sit at the front porch and watch for you to come home. And when we saw the car turn in the driveway, here we'd go, running out to meet you. And we didn't know which sack to look in first to find the candy. Oh, it was good, too, Daddy. That's one for days, right? You know what? Candy. Kids appreciate candy then. Yes, they did. And I never remember one of them saying, I don't like that kind of candy. There wasn't any. I think you're satisfied with any candy you got. Do you remember when I spent $1 on candy? I thought y'all would be so proud of me. Daddy, I got a sack full of that, like a grocery sack now. I didn't know how much $1 was, and I just kept pointing out what I'd take till finally they stopped me, but I just had no idea what $1 was. Well, you got a good lesson out of it. Well, I was excited. I was so excited, you remember I nearly got run over when I ran back to the car. Y'all didn't tell me just to get a little bit and then take some change. I didn't know what change was. I sure didn't. Talking about I don't know what change is. I guess Uncle Judson give you about the best lesson when you pour some cotton down there, and he'd make you tell him how much he owed you before he'd pay you. He had the money there, holding the money to pay you, but he wouldn't pay you till you told him. And two of them, I think Sarah Jo and one cried. But he didn't give him the candy. She had to figure it out. I remember we had so much per pound or so, and we had to figure out how many pounds we had and how much he owed us before he'd pay us. That's right. I want you to tell about what you were telling the other day when we were at the Dairy Queen about me eating that good old red stuff. Just sitting there thinking back school days. Joanne's first year in school. I was on the school board. We had a meeting. The superintendent of school there once in a while he'd give a fish fry. So he gave us a fish fry. And I had ketchup. Of course, that goes with fish. I didn't know Joanne about ketchup. I hadn't thought about not having ketchup. Dad, you didn't know I liked ketchup because that was during the Depression and we never had any. During the season we hadn't had ketchup. That's a boy, I mean, she kept that spent ketchup bottle business. She says, give me some more of that good old red stuff. One big brother says, give me some more of that good old red stuff. It would have embarrassed me if it hadn't been amusing.
Well, Daddy, there were like 3 or 4 little girls whose fathers were on the school board, and they had a little table set for us. I remember, and they had you all at the big table, and I had to go all the way around the table to get to where you and Mother were. But that was the best stuff I ever tasted, and I didn't know what it was, except it was good old red stuff, and I wanted some more of it.
This Mom, actually, she got through eating, turned the other kids eating at a little table away from ours. She come way around the table from me and says, Daddy, but I sure like that good old red stuff. I want you to get us some of it. From then on, I think I had ketchup.
I don't like that good old red stuff so much now. I think it takes away from the taste of food. You remember when you and Uncle Judd lined the dimes up on the ground and let us shoot with the BB gun, and if we got one, we could keep the money? You probably don't remember that, but I was a pretty good shot. I thought that was easy money. I could eye that up and hit it pretty good. Oh, tell what you were telling about Harry Jr. wanting to know.
Picture show?
Yeah, that was funny too.
I got a little amused my boy. I never will forget the way he said what he said. They had a real good show on. I don't know what it was, picture show. There was a religious scene. And my wife had kept up with that and was well noted show. She wanted to go see it. We did, and it was a real good show. We enjoyed it very much.
The drive-in in Dahoka, is that where you went?
Yeah. We coming home, we was talking about how we enjoyed the show. Our junior, he's about 4 or 5, I guess. He says, Daddy, what is it, son? He says, we make a good crop again next year. You're going to bring us back to the show? I think I did.
Now you're talking about your cotton, how you had it up in June. Do you remember what I usually did on my birthday?
Oh?
No, that's not what I usually had to do on my birthday. That was a little bit later, I think. Ride the Go Devil. You remember that? That punch, keep the weeds punched off?
Yeah, that's saving the hoeing job, you see. I had a double old Go Devil, and this is good Christmas right for out of heavy steel.
Now relate the story about the year you got tired of riding the tractor, and I was tired of riding the Go Devil, so you had the bright idea of letting us switch. And I was going to drive the tractor, and you were going to ride the Go Devil.
Well, by George, you were stepping it that much, really.
I know it.
Yeah. I could ride the Go Devil and keep things clean off, and there wouldn't be any hoeing left, you know. Other weeds are just thick as sticky. But I had a good Go Devil. But I couldn't do that unless I was on there. Got you driving, you learn to drive pretty good. But you look around and get off, so I got a long cord. I had 2 of them on you. I had you instructed to never look around. If I wanted to get over to your left a little bit, I'd put on your left arm, you know, I had it around.
Now, I don't remember that at all.
I won't try it around the other one.
I don't remember that.
That's where we're going. You wouldn't even look around for it. It's instructed not to. So when you turn around on the far end, you turn a little sharp and shook me off, and you didn't even look back. And was dragging me a good ways there. I didn't know what was going to happen. I couldn't make you hear me. I was hollering all as I could. But I couldn't gather myself up, so he jerked me back down. He's going, I think, in 3rd gear. And when we got to the end and turned around, one point got to the end, what saved me, my shoe was hung on the thigh. I had a pair of old shoes on. Shoe tore loose. Left me down about the middle of the field. But you didn't even look around when you got out of the end. Turn around and you looked. I was gone. You just stopped the tractor. I've never seen you run like that before. You come just in leaps and bounds. Daddy! 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 That was something.
Do you remember, Shirley thinks this is funny, when somebody was at our house one day for dinner, you know, we always said the blessing. That's what you called it. But you told Harry Jr. to say grace. Do you remember that?
I sure do. He said grace, too, didn't he?
He said grace. Because you told him to. He didn't know that was the same thing as saying the blessing.
No, he sure didn't.
And we all laughed. It's still funny. You know, when Don got married and we had the rehearsal dinner, I told the waiter that we were ready after we had the blessing or prayer. I called it 2 or 3 things, and he didn't know what I was talking about. He said, "Oh, y'all want cocktails?" And I said, "No." And finally he figured out we wanted to. He said, "Oh, you mean you want to pray?" But he didn't know what saying grace was or what asking the blessing was or anything except praying. Do you remember when Fredy dropped Dixie, and you got upset about that?
I sure do.
You thought that was over, huh?
Yeah, it made me mad because his grandfather had with her.
And then
I'd be thinking he might get married, something like that, and Dixie fell for him. And I come in there, your mother, I could see she was sort of excited, but I didn't know she was excited. I was took her frightened. You know, said, "Fred dropped Dixie today." I said, "Well, son of a bitch."
But that was something good, though.
Yeah,
but you didn't know. Oh, dear. What did Fredy tell you when he asked about marrying Dixie?
Boy, he actually never got around to saying anything. I had to sort of hit him on the road. He was frightened. We'd stop. He'd been driving on. We'd stop the car talking to me.
He got you out away from the house, huh?
Oh, yeah. We took me for a ride, but he rode me so far and just drove over the side of the road and stopped. He's trying to ask for it. Instead of that, he's telling me mostly they're going to get married instead of asking for it. We finally turned it into a question. And I said, "Fredy, this is something you'd have to have seen to understand it." I said, "I like you. I think you're a fine boy." I said, "I haven't got any objection to marrying daughter, but I want you to understand something. You're marrying into a big family, closer connected family." Oh, man, he lit up. Brighten up like a Christmas tree. But you just can't imagine how I've been looking forward to get to be in a family.
Well, he got in one.
Sort of pitiful. But I think he still thinks of that sometime when I don't have a chance to talk.
Well, you know that it's a bewildering experience for most anybody, because not very many people are from a family as large as ours. And there's so many, Daddy, you can't even, like you said, you don't even get to talk to everybody. You know, person to person. Really confidential, eye to eye you might say. Did any of the other son-in-laws ask your permission to marry?
I think they all did.
They all asked.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, Daddy, that's one thing that I learned. When I was little, every now and then, Mother would blow the lamp out at night, and then she'd run to the door and throw it out in the yard. You remember that? The flame would go down in the tank thing, and she knew it would blow up. And that bothered me so much that when I got to be a mother, I wouldn't know when to throw the lamp out in the yard. So that's really how...
It didn't happen often.
No, but see, that worried me that I wouldn't know when to throw it away. And that's just like life. We worry about things that never happen. When I grew up and it was my turn to throw the lamp out in the yard, we had electricity. I didn't even have to worry about that.
Well, I try to remember every day, just that tomorrow, where it'll be tomorrow.
Take care of itself. What about, do you remember, I can't think how it went, something about you kept calling Don's dog a bulldog and he kept saying it wasn't? And you argued with him a pretty long time, and finally I believe he said he knew it wasn't a bulldog because it was a girl.
Yeah.
Or something.
Sounds like Dixie and Uncle John. They kept the kids in Dixie. Well, and John Mac come home and said, oh, guess what? Mr. Brown's old dog got a whole bunch of pretty little old pups. He said, I know that's not so. I know that's not so. Well, John Mac said, it is so, too. Said, I've just been over there Sharmon Fishing. I believe it's I have. Pretty little pup. Said, I know you didn't see him. Said, that's a bulldog.
That's good reasoning for any smart kid.
Well, she was a great big dog. Didn't have to know what a bull was.
Do you remember Old Spot and Buttercup?
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Old Spot got sick and you knew she wasn't going to live, and you called a family conference. And you asked us, should we sell Old Spot or should we keep her till she died? And whatever we decided, you said you'd do. I think we couldn't bear to sell her because she'd been part of our family for so long. Old Spot and Buttercup.
Well, she laid down in the cow up there one day where the hogs had rooted out up against the fence. You've seen that done. And when she laid down, she was a great big old cow, big belly. You'd remember that about it, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Well, her back turned over in that where the hogs rooted out, and her feet stuck out, and she couldn't get up. And she's tried all night there to get up, and she'd give up. And when she'd give up, she'd give up. And I got the fence. I'd move the fence, and fix me up a big tripod, and get a block of tackle, make some horns to put on her, use that to raise her up on her feet. After she got on her feet for a while, she took a hold and stood up. Well, she done pretty good for several days there. But every once in a while, for some reason, she lay down and decided she couldn't get up. And I'd have to get that tripod deal. But I just done that, so I couldn't.
You were tired of it.
She's one of the best cows I ever had. And yard side would just keep her.
That's what you get, Daddy, for asking girls what to do.
Do you remember that's what the trouble was now?
Yes, I remember.
She couldn't get up.
She couldn't get up.
She didn't think she could. She'd make her effort to get up. You know, they've got to get up, they raise up on their front feet and then get up.
While we're driving down there, tell about playing ball with Heather. I think that's funny.
Well, she's a little bitty boy. I guess 4 or 5 years old there. She brought a ball with her. She wanted to play ball with me. I sat down in the chair, facing television, and the television far corner of the room. She got out in the middle of the floor, going to throw me the ball, and I said, okay, go ahead. I doubled up my lap and held it like an apron, you know, pulled it to catch the ball, and my Lord, she wound up and throws that ball, hit me on the head and bounced and rolled clear back to the television. Got to knock me from out.
You were going to play pitch the ball with the little girl, but she was already a professional, wasn't she?
Well, Terie, don't tell me how many times she caught that ball. I'd have thrown it like a boy throws, too. She didn't never throw like a girl. That's what's taking through that ball like fast.
Daddy Coby was very disappointed last night. Did you know it? About the baseball team? Did you know Coby was real disappointed about the team? Sharmon called here and told me to tell them what team he got on. And he was not picked to go on to the bigger boys team, to the little league team. He's going to stay on the smaller boys team. And Dixie said it really, really hurt him. I'm glad I didn't know it when I told him. It's so sad to see your kids hurt. You just want to do everything to make it right for them, and there's a lot of things mothers and daddies can't do.
You're not telling me.
Oh, you know that, huh? Here, let me get it, Daddy. I remember one time that you said something about your kids that you still had the privilege of praying for them. That's about all you could do. And that's a pretty good bit, Daddy. That's a good bit.
You know, looking at Walter working so hard on it makes me think about Sharmon and her little fishing story. Would you tell that? That is such a good lesson.
You bet to. That's when they lived down there. What was it?
Junction. At Junction?
Junction. Tech, you know, had that place out there. Fredy. Tech sent him down there to hold that station down for him. And right out there on that river and everything, deer eating out of the yard. He wanted to fish a little one day. He wanted to set out a trap line. Sharmon, she just a little bitty trick there. She wanted to go with him. He let her go with him, fix her little pole and everything. Had some stretch worms using the bait. So she got to pulling the perch out. That's what he wanted. He wanted to got some perch to set his trap line with. So he bait her hook again. She pulled out another. She got a half a dozen more fish there. Fred couldn't get fish to bait the hook for her, and going back. He said, honey, said, you're catching all the fish. Said, how do you manage that anyhow? She says, Daddy, I'm praying. That kind of shook him. And she said, you've got to jerk a little low.
Oh, that little old kid has had so many words of wisdom.
Just think. What that all meant. You got to jerk a little.
Do you remember when Terie was running around on top of your house? You heard something?
Honey, it just tears my nerves up to think about that. She wasn't about 3 or 4 years old. And I come in to leave a letter going up on top there. Oh yeah, I've been working on the antenna. And I was sitting in there reading, and I thought I heard something. Right, George, I got up and looked outside. There she was, right up on top of the house. And she started crawling back to me. Well, all I could do is just talk to her. I've been on excited. I told her, just take your time, Mike. Just take your time. And that's what she done. She got down where I could get a hold of her. Oh, honey, can you imagine that?
Was this before or after she drove the combine?
That combine, that's the most excitement that ever happened to me, girl.
It was terrible. Scared me to death.
I was going down there, I thought she was in the combine. Honey, I thought she was inside that combine. I started it, fell down in it. But she just got it started. How she ever started that combine, I don't know. From Harry Jr., I was up there to feed Harry Jr. I had Joe Boy and Jr. taking a bath. Now, directly, everything you talk about breaking out, I never heard such screaming. Joe Boy screaming and jumping. Couldn't get the door open, get out, and we couldn't open up the door. He had it locked. He couldn't think to unlock it. He was just screaming. I thought he had Harry Jr. down. Had me scared to death. He finally got the door open. He got the key and got the door open. He was just jumping up and down there in the look. He had a bow knot tied on the end of his fence. He couldn't untie it. I hold him. He's jumping up and down. I had him my arm under his arm, hold him around the neck. He's jumping pieces. I can't get it off. So I'll go get the scissors and cut it off. Oh, he's looking for scissors. He's walking all over that bathroom with me. He'd misunderstood his daddy. He thought he was looking to cut the whole thing off.
You never know how kids are going to...
You can't tell about kids.
And, you know,
That's one of the most exciting moments I've ever had. But when I got in there, I never saw such pleasure in my life as I saw Junior sitting over there in that bathwater, grinning, sitting, looking a little grin on his face.
Changing the subject altogether, let's have a few cut and break stories. Like the time that, what were you going to do, work on Uncle Judd's windmill, so you brought him to our house?
He run off?
No, it seemed like they crawled to the top of our windmill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He and those other both crawled up on top of me. They'd run off from home. And they got up on top of my mill out there. I talked to Dixie getting them down from up there. They're just big enough to climb, not big enough to come down on it. I helped them down. Looked up at his little brewer boy was ready. I saw Jake and Judson coming across the field, crisscrossing.
Trying to find the boy?
That was tracking them. Of course, that brought them to my house.
What about the time they got Uncle Judd's gun down?
Oh, honey, that scares me to tell that. How they done it, we'll never know. Judd kept the cottage's shotgun up on top of the sink, kitchen cabinet. Be sure they didn't get a hold of it. By George, honey, I don't know what else sneak and whatnot, but they managed to get that shotgun down, get them shells out, had the gun loaded, and took it outside and shot it. It woke Eleanor up, and she come to something like that. And of course, that scared the kids. They scared. Then I imagine it really kicked them up. And that caused a lot of excitement in the family, them getting that gun down, shooting it. Didn't either one of them get killed, but they couldn't find out nothing. So I always thought I was sort of good picking the truth out of giving them not knowing. So I'd come along pretty good.
Piecing the story together?
Yeah, getting the gun down and everything. I asked him to the judge. I said, well, just take your time. I want to know just how you managed to get that gun down, how you got it loaded. He said, Uncle Harry, only Jesus knows.
You know, that's probably the truth, Dave.
I think it was the truth.
Probably the truth.
I think that's the truth.
Did they fix the separator, the milk separator one time?
Honey, that's nearly unbelievable. But Daily Bell cost a little more than the other cream separator. And he got him a brand new one to separate milk with. And they cost a lot of money for a farmer then. It'd be almost like buying an automobile now. He got ready to separate it, wouldn't turn a peg. Rocked, everything knocked down. And they had emptied a bunch of talcum powder, big can of talcum powder into the oil. And that locked and froze everybody on a good separator.
Now, I remember
that. Separator, he never got separated.
You know, the kind we had was this big old bucket thing, and you poured the milk in it, and the cream would come to the top. And then you would drain the milk off, and the cream would stay at the top. Yeah. But I heard Uncle Judd had ordered one, and it came in that day. Some kind of fancy machine that you could pour the milk in and turn the handle, and the cream came out one way, and the milk out the other way. Two stops out there. I couldn't wait to see that, and boy, we went over that night to see it work, and I was pretty let down. Because it was already broken.
Never got to separate one time.
It was already broken. Tell you what, I imagine Uncle Chad had a few gray hairs trying to raise those two boys.
He sure did. There's so much difference on it. Don't you can't imagine how much those boys cost him. You take me. Well, 1 year after Judd had gone to the Dallas, took that treatment. I was watching after the boys. They was doing the farming, but I was starting them off on everything, telling them what to do, and show them how to do it. And I put them knife in the bed, 3-roll knife machine. And to do that, the cotton was in contour rolls. The little Judd had decided it'd be better just take that stabilizer loose, More just let it turn about this far either way, stay in there, turn around but not flop the machine over on top of the tractor. Well, sure enough, he got out the end, he went to turn around, big wheel hung on a chain on that knife machine, flopped it over on top of him, didn't kill him.
He couldn't listen, could he? He had to see for himself.
He wouldn't listen. And I got Walter Ray over there, helped take it off. It bent everything all to pieces. We had to take it apart. Piece by piece, took it up to the shop, Chris straightened it out. Took it apart, piece by piece, get it straightened out, and then put it back together. And by George started them off knifing. I left them down there about an hour or so. I couldn't see him moving and went back over there. He'd done the same thing again. And I didn't whip him.
But you wanted to.
I was too mad to whip him. But I didn't say nothing to him. I just had him come get in my car. I went and got Walter Ray. And we fixed that back up again, same thing over. Well, when I went back the third time then, started them all, I gave him strict orders that he could understand. And what I might do and what might not do if he didn't do that like I told him. Well, that sucked. No, I didn't. I went back down there and it started again.
And that's when you gave...
That's when I really gave him his trouble.
Do you remember when Little Pete told me he wouldn't let the wild horses hurt me?
Well, I think I had a 3-year-old filly there. She'd never had a rope. Might have a rope on her. She's gentle, but she's wild too. Her and there's another there, a year younger. I lost your kid, and I went down. I looked for him. I saw you down towards the lot there. I walked up. You're right in behind those heels, those horses.
Daddy, I kind of remember just we were all in amongst them. They were wild horses all around us.
Yeah, it just scared me. So I just stopped back, motioned Pete to come on.
You were afraid to even speak, weren't you?
Well, I won't let them hurt her. Turn around and had some feet stuck in her hand. Hits that blue filly across the heel. She jumped out, John, tooted. Once she had to kick me.
Well, I remember, Daddy, that you had warned me not to go out there, and boy, I believed you. But then little Pete came along and he said, I won't let him hurt you.
Yeah.
And I believed him.
Yeah, you thought he...
I believed him. I mean,
well, that's what he told me. I won't let him hurt her.
What do you remember about all those fun years that we had of going to pig shows? When Harry Jr. first started showing pigs, and just talk about a pig show that you remember in particular.
Trying to tell you about a pig show is such a big thing, I couldn't tell you. I could sit here and talk from this time tomorrow on it. But that is a big preparation. You had to prepare. We'd raise our own pigs when we had to breed to get the kind of pigs we wanted to make show pigs out of. And then you couldn't get them big enough to show in less than 6 months. Take about 6 months to get them ready to show. And we feed them and try to get a growth. Going off now to lean meat. The mans have already got their lean meat, you know. And so they didn't want fat things. You got your pig too fat, they sipped it out of the show. So you have to feed them, make them lean meaty pigs, and then walk the fat off of them. They're going to get too fat. My boy, he was a good boy to show off. He got a trunk full of little ribbons. He made all, of course he had good stuff to show. He had registered bookers. But he took championship in nearly every big city in the state. El Paso, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, all those places.
He got lots and lots of blue ribbons, didn't he?
Lots and lots of blue ribbons.
And those big purple championship ribbons.
Now that's just a pig show. Now of course, along with the pig show, now they teach them about this in school. Have vocational teacher, educated, train them, teacher, show them, help them. Had county agents to help them. Agent, or what we call the county agent?
The county agent, that's Bill Grissom.
Oh no, you see the FFA and 4-H.
Yeah, 4-H.
4-H. 4-H for the small boys, you get a little bigger, then you get an FA. And they'd show together in competition with each other. County agent, vocational teacher. But it was a big deal. Papa and Mama and the whole family, they'd come out to these shows. We'd have one sometime they'd show at school, and then they'd have a county show. Went out to county, then that's when it started going to other places. El Paso, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas Fires. It's a big deal. Everybody out in the farm country, they were interested in that.
I remember that Bobby Lee was Terry's ag teacher, and he told me that my daddy was a smart man. So I think by that he meant that you helped Terry a good bit too.
Oh yeah.
I remember having lunch at Mother and Daddy's one day and sitting by Granddaddy and trying to think of some topic of conversation that I could discuss with him. I said, Granddaddy, what do you think about these short skirts the girls are wearing now? He thought just a second or two and he looked at me and he said, hell, I just hope I don't go blind.
Joanne wanted to tell me about her granddaddy out in Cookston. An incident happened when I was up at Leveland visiting my wife and I was riding downtown with him. He's getting pretty old. But he had things figured out for himself. He'd figured out the lights and everything else there. I was riding with him out one day and I thought he was going to stop. He's supposed to stop. Cars turn on the brakes and slid this way and that way and the car flew. And I just sat there all drawn up. The horse just kept driving. I couldn't hardly get relaxed again. Drove on several blocks. He turned around and grinned. Said, hell, said, you have to watch these son of bitches up here.
Oh, that granddaddy.
He was something else, wasn't he?
He was cute, Daddy. He was a cute little fella. I remember Granddaddy Cookston talking about, let's see, how did they used to do it? You take a wagon load of cotton to the gins, and you had to wait till they gin the cotton off so you could take your wagon home.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how it ended up exactly, but he was in line with his trailer. And he said, you go get a hamburger and you come back and wait. And he said, nobody ever broke line while you were gone. When he got back, somebody had crowded in front of him while he had gone to get his hamburger. And it seemed like Granddaddy Cookston told me he got the shovel and hit that man. Do you remember that?
I don't.
I remember.
wouldn't doubt it.
You wouldn't want to cross out, would you?
No.